Hey everybody, this is Swamp Leader here, back with another video for you. I hope Orwell did not call it out because we are entering some 1984 dystopia kind of crap going on here. Welcome back to the video. I hope you guys enjoy this. This is the first full-fledged video that you'll be seeing on Rumble, and this will also be uploaded later on YouTube. And if it is uploaded later on YouTube and it gets banned, well, then so what? Because this will be up on Rumble and it'll also be on other alternative sites like BitChute. So, this video is titled, "We should probably have turned off CERN, or should have just kept that thing off, that giant hadron collider in Switzerland, the one they powered up to maximum just the day after Independence Day." By the way, I hope everybody had a great Independence Day. Hope you guys had some fireworks. Hope you guys had some food, some friends over, some drinks. Hopefully you had a good day. But the week after Independence Day, it was crazy. From Tuesday, July 5th, all the way to Monday, today, July 11th, craziness has been happening all over the world. And I think we will be starting with the Georgia Guidestones because uh, maybe this is a foreshadowing. The Guidestones being blown up, being destroyed, is the precursor for what happened during the rest of the week. So, as you all know, in Georgia, the New World Order globalist guidestones, where they said that we need to limit the world population to 500 million, were destroyed by a mysterious bomber early last week. We still don't know the identity of who did this. All we have is the quick videos of the monument being exploded and a silver, what looks like, to my opinion, a Mercedes or some kind of foreign luxury car was speeding out of the area. So that's kind of telling, because who owns a Mercedes luxury high-end car in the middle of Georgia? I mean, how far outside of Atlanta are we talking about here? But yeah, the Guidestones being destroyed last week pretty much kicked off the rest of everything else that was going to happen. Because not on top of that, just a few days after, we had Shinzo Abe get assassinated while he was in the middle of making a political speech just upcoming of the Japanese elections. And this is very concerning because Shinzo Abe, like Trump, was staunchly anti-communist. He was anti-China. He knew that the threat in the Asian Pacific region was coming from China, not North Korea, not all their missiles firing. No, 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 China. Because look at what China's been doing in the past couple of years, especially since COVID has struck. They've taken over Hong Kong. They've completely uh, subjugated the people of Hong Kong. It feels so bad for those poor people. Like, the entire world turned their back on all the protests that were going on in Hong Kong because the pandemic hit, and they were left high and dry. Now they're under the boot of Chinese authoritarianism. But Shinzo Abe was staunchly anti-communist for the entire time he was the prime minister of Japan, and he was very good friends with Donald Trump when he was president, and he was definitely pushing back against the communist rhetoric in the southeast, South China Seas area. He was a thorn in the in the Chinese side, and a lot of people now are speculating who was the assassin. Who is this assassin? Because he was captured alive. And apparently he used a homemade shotgun, which is not traceable to anybody. So you don't know where this gun came from, who actually made it, and if the motives for the shooter are actually true. But you can tell in Chinese media, on if you go on Weibo chat and other things, you can see the Chinese media clips laughing it up and praising the fact that Shinzo Abe was assassinated. And this is going to destabilize the region and only embolden China to become more aggressive towards Taiwan, because Taiwan is the Pacific's version of Ukraine. There was a lot of issues happening in Taiwan, and a lot of issues happening same geopolitically in Ukraine. You have a government in Ukraine which was turning its back against pretty much the father regime, Russia, and Russia doesn't quite like that. Like, Ukraine was becoming more Western. NATO was being influenced into this, and NATO is just as corrupt as any Eastern Bloc post-Soviet country, and all you can point fingers at anybody. You can point fingers at NATO. You can point fingers at Russia for what caused this war in Europe, but it's not as cut and dry as what people want to say. So the same thing that's happening in Europe could be transposed to Taiwan, and the Chinese can just point the finger to America, Japan for fiddling in their affairs just as easy as Russia could point the finger at NATO. So don't pass up the idea that China won't invade Taiwan. Because look at what Russia did. They invaded Russia. They invaded Ukraine very, in my opinion, ham-fistedly. Both sides are losing a lot here. Eventually, Ukraine will lose. If there isn't any kind of miraculous turning around here, Ukraine will lose based off of the numbers. Russia is Russia. Have you seen Russia? Russia defeated Nazi Germany. Do you think they can't defeat post-modern Ukraine? Give me a break. But let's move on from that, because remember, CERN is still kicking on. The Hadron Collider is causing a whole lot of problems. Let's move over to Sri Lanka. The entire country has collapsed. The entire country of Sri Lanka has destabilized because the Prime Minister of the country tried with the government to push a new Green Deal, a green agenda, to where the farmers of that country were forced several years ago to use substandard fertilizer, as in they're not allowed to use good fertilizer with nitrogen and all the things needed to actually feed the plants. They were supposed to use substandard fertilizer coming from China, and also manure, like feces, to feed their crops. Apparently, the crops failed, and there's massive starvation that was hitting Sri Lanka. And now, the entire country had to ration fuel because of the pandemic and the cutoffs of fuel industry and all that stuff. The entire country's come to a standstill. And now, the citizens are storming. If you want to talk about insurrection, the media is calling what's happening in Sri Lanka. And you know what? Let me stop playing for a second and let you listen to this. Look at this. This is hundreds of thousands of people storming the capital, the capital. Look at that. These people are storming the Capitol. If you want to talk about an insurrection, this is an insurrection, because they stormed the Capitol. They burned down the presidential palace. They were swimming in his pool and running on the treadmill before they burned it down. But they burned it all down. That's an insurrection. If you want to talk about what happened on January 6th, that was a protest gone bad. That was a semi riot where a few hundred people were let in by the police, and some clashed with police, but nobody was got anywhere near a member of Congress. Two women were killed. One was shot by the cops. The other one was beaten to death by another police person on body cam footage, by the way. Boylan, I think her last name is Boylan. I forgot her first name, but two women were killed on January 6th, both by police. And you have what's happening in Sri Lanka. The entire country has devolved in anarchy, and that's because of the green agenda, the new Green Deal. What they want to have happen here in America, in Europe, like Greta Thunberg. Oh, how dare you! You use the fossil fuels, and you kill all the animals, and you hurt me and the other kids who want to grow up in peace. No. You're killing millions of people, because look what's happening in the Netherlands right now. Farmers are protesting for their livelihoods because the government, a progressive climate change scared government, has passed laws limiting nitrogen over the next 5 years to like 90%. Like they're curtailing nitrogen emissions and carbon dioxide emissions by 90%, which means that Dutch farmers have to kill 80% of their livestock. And that means, and the Dutch government said that means the reality is that some farmers will stop working. They won't have their jobs. Are you kidding me? So of course the Dutch farmers are protesting. But guess what? The Dutch authorities don't like that, so they're opening fire. So this is what happens when Dutch farmers are protesting for their livelihoods, just like a few months ago in Canada when Canadian truckers are protesting for the right to not get an experimental jab in their arm, and which is now actually causing more harm than good. Whoops, I guess there it goes on YouTube. This video will be banned on YouTube, but this will stay up on BitChute and on Rumble. But yeah, if you get a jab in your shoulder, you're more prone to actually getting sick, getting infections, getting rare diseases, and maybe possibly even dying because you took that vaccine. You're actually more likely than not to actually have that happen to you. And that's the reality and the facts of it. But when it comes to the Dutch farmers here, they don't want to lose their livelihoods because of some nebulous 3% Celsius reduction in the next 100 years because of fossil fuels or for whatever it is. So these farmers are getting shot at by the police, and let me play you this. Look at this. This guy is just turning, getting around, and going down the side.
Hey, wapens, jongen, wapens!
Look at that. They shoot at him. And then they charged him with, like, attempted manslaughter of the police. Yes, the police charged that 16-year-old boy with attempted manslaughter or something like that because he tried to run around them. And you know what? Now we're going to move completely away from all the dystopian, world-ending bullcrap and look at how American politics are getting completely derailed from the inside out. We got Hunter Biden. His laptop has been hacked. Well, not hacked. His laptop has been found and released to the internet. His iCloud through his iPhone has allegedly been hacked by the people of 4chan. They figured out the password to his iPhone backup, and now we have videos of him arguing with his hooker about how much crack he has, him inside a detox pool, smoking crack, drinking a seltzer, doing all that stuff, and we have him talking to his buddies about what kind of foreign prostitute do you want to have sex with. Some of them have strings attached. This is pretty disgusting. Hunter Biden is a gross piece of shit. Um, how how gross is his family? Because he tells he's texting his uncle that Jill is an entitled see you next Tuesday. Like, is there any decency amongst the Biden family? I don't know, because it's pretty depraved. Because if you have your father, Joe Biden, the president of the United States, allegedly saved in your phone under the surname of Pedo Peter, allegedly, I'm saying allegedly because it still hasn't been proven, but still, it's quite damning if your son, your own son, has you saved in his phone under the name Pedo Peter. There's something to be asked about. There's questions that arise from this that are quite concerning. And if you would change the name Biden with Trump, there would be a whole different story going on here, if you catch my drift. But let's, besides all this stuff, because this is all window dressing, let's actually get down to brass tacks. Because the real problem, the real issue, the real legal issue that can get Joe Biden removed from office is the fact that he sold Strategic Petroleum Reserve oil from the American Reserve to the Communist Chinese Party through a oil company that has Hunter Biden a stake in. Hunter Biden owns a stake in a Chinese international oil company that Joe Biden sold 5 million barrels of Strategic Petroleum Reserve oil to. That oil is supposed to be for the Americans. That oil is supposed to be for emergencies. And legal experts have stated that this deal, this sale of our Strategic Petroleum Reserve, is illegal. This is the major problem that Joe Biden is going to have to address in the coming week. And if the White House stays silent on this stuff, then I don't know who you are, how much of a sycophant you are when it comes to being a Democrat, but if you're willing to defend Joe Biden selling the American Strategic Petroleum Reserve to China and under the guise of offsetting global reserves, which will make it cheaper ultimately for Americans, but then being okay with the Democrats standing in the way of Trump trying to increase the petroleum reserve in 2020 before the election, because, Donald Trump bad, then I don't know how you can justify this illegality and still say that Joe is your guy. The guy can't put two words together to form a coherent sentence. And you're telling me that you're okay with him sending our oil overseas to offset some other kind of strategic bottleneck, which would ultimately help everybody in the long run. So you're okay with globalism and him doing an illegal act for globalism, but you're not okay with Donald Trump trying to refill our coffers because America first. All the while, there's hundreds of thousands of people every month coming across the border, which is an entirely different topic that I'm not even going to touch in this video because I'm already gone too long as it is. This is more of a rant, as a getting everything off of my chest and letting everybody know all this stuff, with Hunter Biden, real. Farmer protests getting shot at, real. People running up the presidential palace and burning down his house, real. The killing of Shinzo Abe and the adulation coming out of the Communist Chinese Party, real. The Georgia Guidestones being destroyed because people are trying to push back against this globalist great reset that we're seeing happening with the farmers, with Sri Lanka. This is happening. Real. So I'm sorry. Tell me again that there's conspiracy theories afoot when conspiracy theories become reality within months to days, weeks to days. So try to tell me again how things are conspiracy theory when shit's going down. Like, it's been going down since 2015. Since Donald Trump initiated his presidential campaign. The cat's out of the bag, the genie's out of the bottle, the toothpaste is out of the tube. You cannot stop what is happening. And whatever happens is going to happen. Negative, positive, whatever. All we can do is see with our own eyes. The world is unfolding in front of us. Events are happening with or without our approval or our consent or the against or with the people's will. It is what it is. We are now in 1914. We're now in August of 1914. We're now in September of 1939. We're now 11 and a half minutes to or 11 and a half hours to midnight. 30 minutes left to midnight. If you get the references, you'll understand. I don't know. I'm running dry. But you know what? I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry, YouTube, if you ban me. I don't care. If you enjoy this video, follow me on Rumble. Follow me on BitChute. If I'm still here, subscribe on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you later. This has been the Swamp Cleaner. Peace out.